Man, what a great fight night, guys. I'm definitely going over the UFC fight night between Cejudo and Song Yadong. And this was a great fight night. Even in the prelims, man, there were 5 KOs, 5 knockouts. How do you decide who gets the bonus in this one, man? Everyone performed really well. This is not one of those nights where you really had a bad fight or anything like that. And then there was a TKO by Silva, which that one was crazy, but we'll go over that later. Right now, I'm going to start out actually in the sport of boxing. I'm not the biggest boxing fan in the world, but sometimes when the big fighters are fighting, I'll definitely tune in and I'll check it out and I'll see what's going on. Shakur Stevenson was fighting against Padley, had his title up on the line, but this one, it wasn't even close, man. Shakur Stevenson dominated this fight from beginning to end. He was not really threatened much in this fight at all. It didn't look like it was the most challenging thing for him. He kind of got a little bit out of his normal ways. He was willing to put himself into more danger in this fight. It almost seemed like, he didn't respect Padley fully just because of how much domination there was. Let's just call it what it is, man. Padley got outclassed in this one from top to bottom. He took more damage than he should have in this one. I think his corner should have been on his side a little bit more and ending this fight a little bit sooner than it did. Shakur looked really good, but like I said, being critical for him, dude, he's a great boxer. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But can he fight someone like Tank in the same way and be as reckless as he was in this one? Because knowing Shakur, he was definitely reckless in this one. But can he fight someone like Tank in this way? I don't think so. But can he beat Tank? I'm not going to say no, man. Anything can happen. It's a sport of fighting. They're professionals. He can definitely get the job done as well. If anyone can, he's definitely one of them that can definitely do it. So I think he'll be prepared for a fight like that. Turki Al-Sheikh, if you're listening out there, man, make this fight happen, man. I'm so glad that you came into the boxing world because, this is a fight that everybody wants to see, and we know you're making the effort to actually make this happen. But I'm kind of sick of seeing boxers dodge other boxers that we know they should be fighting and just picking easy fights for their career. How much longer do we have to allow Tank to avoid Shakur Stevenson, though? Shakur has been calling him out for so long, man. And I think Tank is using this call out to Floyd Mayweather as a distraction just to avoid Shakur even more. I think there's something that might be unsure about him or something. I don't know what it is, man. I don't think Tank is scared. I don't think that's the case. But he may be scared for that O to go or to even have a tie potentially in his record, He might be waiting for Shakur to get older before he fights someone like him, that high caliber type of fight, And it might be the same technique that Floyd used before he fought Manny Pacquiao. He waited for him to just get older. And even then, I still don't think Floyd beat Manny Pacquiao in that fight. At worst case scenario, I thought it was a tie. But I didn't really see a victory in that one, But Turki Al-Sheikh, if you're out there listening, man, get this guy to sign a contract. Get him and Shakur Stevenson inside the ring together. And let's see what happens, when you put two highly talented guys like this in the same ring. I'm curious, and I'm pretty sure most of the world is curious also. And if anybody can get it done, it's Turki Al-Sheikh. So hopefully he does get this done, man. But it's time for boxing's best fighters to stop avoiding each other. That's why I love the UFC so much, So when will we get this fight? All right, so now we're going to actually kick it to what we were actually here for, the UFC fight night. And this was a great night, guys. I'm only going to go over some of the fights because there were too many good ones, to be completely honest. But we're going to start up with John Silva and Melsik Baghdasaryan because at the beginning of this fight, I didn't really know what to make of it. Both guys were just kind of stuck taking pictures, just staring at each other, sizing each other up, looking at their distance, trying to figure out, hey, what should I do? Should I go in or should I get out? They were kind of scared to take a risk. Neither fighter really wanted to do anything to get the fight going. Melsik at one point just bitch slapped John. And that was kind of the turning point of the fight. John kind of turns around and I don't know, he just looks like he was pissed off all of a sudden, smacking his face, hitting himself like, you know what, let's go. That just pissed me off maybe. But Literally, immediately right after that, John turns around, throws a 2-punch combo, and knocks Melsik on his ass. Like, literally, it was that quick. It was very quick. 2 punches really ended this fight. But I guess that's exactly what we needed, man. A bitch slap just for this fight to get interesting. And, of course, it got interesting only for 2 punches. And then after that, it was ground and pound. I didn't know if the fight was going to be stopped. I mean, neither did Melsik. He took extra damage on the ground that was really not necessary. The ref could have stopped the fight. I don't even think Melsik really knew how he made it to the ground. I think he just kind of looked up and realized he was on the ground and is like, well, wait a minute, what's actually going on here? Something happened. And it just caught him off guard. But in the beginning, it was boring. The knockout was definitely something to behold and see. That was very interesting, very fun to watch. But this was just one of those nights, man. Like I said, a lot of these fights ended up being a lot better than anyone would expect. But I guess that's just part of the game. So next up, we got Rob Font and John Matsumoto. So John Matsumoto, this is actually my first time actually watching him fight. He was actually 16-0 coming into this fight. But Rob Font, man, he's just one of these guys that's been in the UFC for a while. And he just has the experience to know how to win these type of fights, Matsumoto, for the most part, as I was watching him, I think his biggest detriment was just his height, literally, and his reach was just very short. He actually threw some really good-looking punches until you realize he was just outside the range of his punches. I mean, Rob Font was able to get just a mere couple inches away from his punches and then come in with his own right away, and it kind of sucked with him being undefeated. I kind of felt bad for Matsumoto in this one because, to be honest, he actually fought a good fight overall, to be completely honest. But Rob Font was just able to take advantage of the distance and the fact that Matsumoto was just a little bit shorter, just short enough that he could get out of his swinging range, and not the kicks, though. I mean, let's not take anything away because Matsumoto definitely destroyed that left leg of Rob Font. That front leg that he was leading with, destroyed that leg. That leg is definitely toast, But, even though Matsumoto fought very well, once again, we can't take anything away from Robert Font, man. Because he fought a really great fight on his own. He was able to land a lot of these great punches. Matsumoto kind of... man, it's kind of sad to say. He was just a shorter fighter that could not reach Rob Font. That's just really all this fight was, But I love this fight. Give them a lot of respect, man. These guys came out, put everything out inside the octagon that they had for sure, And that cut that was on Matsumoto's face, I know a lot of people, if you come into that fight late, you might think Rob Font was just picking him apart. It's not really the case, man. He just caught an elbow coming in, and as it was exiting, it was just enough to cut his hairline. That's kind of what caused all the blood to gush out. But other than that, great fight, close split decision. I did not think it was a split decision, though. I thought Rob Font definitely won, but at least he got the W. I didn't see it as a split decision, though, just because Matsumoto could not get in the range to be fully effective. So, great fight, man. Great fight. This was one that I'm hoping a lot of you guys actually watched. Next up, we got Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez. Now, this is not the first time these guys have seen each other. These guys literally fought in LFA championship, actually for a title as well. And this fight was actually at a catch weight of 140 pounds. And Brendan Allen actually lost the first fight, okay? In LFA, that is. Not in the UFC, but in LFA. So, Brendan Allen, man, he came out pumped in the first round. Totally dominated every part of it. The stand-up game, the ground game. This one, was easily a 10-9 round for Brendan Allen. But he had to make sure to come out in the second round and the third round to kind of do the same thing. Anthony Hernandez better had waken up after this first round because it started looking bad for him. Honestly, I kind of felt bad for him. But then going back, I do remember actually watching this fight in LFA, and it literally started the same exact way. Now, in the second round, I don't know what clicked. Maybe Hernandez finally warmed up. Maybe his body was just ready to go. But he just came out and started dominating the fight from there. He just came in with the nonstop scrambles, had 2 chances of actually submitting Brendan Allen. He didn't do it, but, he controlled him on the ground for just a little over 3 minutes. Then, the scramble was actually reversed where Brendan Allen had control, and then it was reversed again before the end of the round. All of this happened in one round. So, Hernandez definitely won the second round for sure. We click into the third round, and Brendan Allen lands this left hook from hell. I mean, it definitely got Hernandez's attention for sure. I mean, he was shook. He stood up and he was like, "What just hit me, man?" And you can see it in his face too, as well, as to what happened. But it definitely probably played with Hernandez's vision a little bit because he was playing around with that eye just a little too much. I'm not exactly sure what happened to it. Maybe it's just he got rocked enough that his vision was actually impaired just a little bit in that round. But Brendan actually ends up landing a second left hook that, I mean, in all honesty, most people would have probably dropped. But Hernandez was able to tough it out and stand up, and immediately he starts going into the scramble. I mean, immediately after that second left hook. But Brendan Allen, in the third round, after those two left hooks, he kind of, I'm not going to say he got lazy, but he wasn't as, he didn't have any urgency into the third round. Maybe someone on the sideline was telling him that maybe he's winning the fight. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but there was just no sense of urgency from him in the third round, and he really needed that because he definitely lost the second round. So he needed the third round to win this fight. But for some reason, he just did not go back to it. He got taken down. Hernandez controlled him on the ground, did some ground and pound, killed the clock. And that was it. So Hernandez dominated the second round. In the third round, he took some damaging punches, took Brendan Allen to the ground, controlled him there, did some ground and pound, was the more active guy, made sure he's not taking too much damage after those two left hooks. And that was the end of the fight. And Hernandez definitely walked away with a win, which I agree with, because you got to give him the second round. You got to give him the third round. He controlled the entire third round outside of those two punches. So for Brendan Allen, like I said, this is just kind of deja vu. This is literally the same exact way this fight went in LFA, except it was 5 rounds. But, great fight. I'm sorry, Brendan Allen, that you didn't get the W, but, Hernandez definitely has announced that, he wants to make his way towards the belt. He wants to fight towards the belt, and that is his main goal. So I guess we'll see how that goes for him, and it should be something very interesting to see over time. All right, so now we got to go over to the main event. And before I talk about the main event between Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong, this is one of those weird fights for me, man. Being a fight fan, especially a UFC fan, because Song Yadong is a dangerous fighter, very formidable opponent. Henry Cejudo is not someone that I want to see get hurt at this point. He's a legend of the game. He's done everything that he has to do, has nothing left to prove, man. He's a double champion, Olympic gold medalist, one of the best MMA trainers out there. Money is definitely not what Henry Cejudo is chasing after. I think he's trying to prove something to himself, but he doesn't have to, man. I think it's just a different time, and the simple fact that he's 38 years old. I think that's just the issue. I don't think there's any other problem with Henry Cejudo. And that's okay, man. Fighting is a young man's game. So after they come out, man, we go into the first round. A lot of movement between the two guys, man. This is a bantamweight fight, so obviously these guys are going to be quick on their feet. A lot of movement. Actions in the fight will definitely be going a lot quicker than most people are going to think, So Henry goes out there and definitely is keeping up the pace, man. He is upbeat, throwing feints where he's dropping his chin, but then throwing uppercuts right away, throwing different looks where he's dropping his chin and trying to come up with a knee. Can you imagine what that would look like if he had a knockout that way? Dropping his chin down, throwing a fake punch to the body, and just coming up with a knee and catching someone on the chin. That would be insane, man. But Song Yadong was definitely taking a lot of punishment on that left leg, and at one point that left leg definitely fell asleep in the first round. He caught himself. He didn't fall to the ground, but that could have been a lot more dangerous than we actually think. But Henry, he shocked me, man. His cardio, he definitely looked a lot better than I expected. Remember, he's 38, guys. For the sport, he's older. In reality, he's not that old, but for the sport, he's definitely older. Now we go over to the second round, and Henry kind of start slowing down a little bit, Henry's jab was definitely the best punch that he had in the second round. And that's kind of what I noticed. That's kind of what I picked apart from his performance. He should probably still should have gone back to that, just like he was focusing on that front leg, that lead leg for Song Yadong. But his defense was also looking really good in the stand-up game. His movement, keeping his head off the center line. No matter what Song did, he was right there and he was ready to throw down. He's engaging and putting Song, in certain danger positions at times. He looked really good overall. Now, you can tell there's still things that he's trying to set up, and I don't really know what they are. They're not very conventional, but he's throwing his chin down, trying to bring his knee up again in the second round. He does the same thing again. Or, he's trying to set up maybe a certain punch that he wants Song to just walk into, which may knock him out. I don't know, but Henry doesn't look like he's trying to take the fight to the ground, which was actually kind of shocking to me because he's a wrestler. Why can't he now? It might drain his energy or something like that. Maybe it was part of the game plan not to do that because he doesn't know how his body will respond. But I wouldn't be shocked if he actually took the fight to the ground. I would actually almost expect that, but I was actually shocked that he never did. It's almost like he wanted to win this fight standing. Now, to be fair, even after the second round, when it comes to significant strikes, Song is definitely ahead in winning this fight. In the third round, for a while there, I definitely thought his, conditioning was still looking solid, but you can see the fatigue start to settle in a little bit. His conditioning is top notch, but you can see the fatigue is definitely settling in with all the movement, all the feints, everything they're doing, throwing kicks and all that, And at one point, Song definitely was more focused in the third round on countering Henry. I think the speed of Henry kind of caught him off guard. I don't think he was expecting Henry to actually be that fast, which even for me, I'm not going to lie, man. Henry caught me off guard with that speed because he kept catching Song with that same jab. And I'm sure Song is sitting there like, am I not seeing this guy throw this, man? He almost shut one of Song's eyes also. Literally was straight up with that jab. That jab just kept landing and it was quick. That definitely caught me off guard a little bit. Now, the turning point of this fight, however, is in the third round where Henry takes that double eye poke. Let's just call it a double eye poke, Henry definitely kept saying, even while he was on the side, I cannot see very well. I'm seeing things in the light or whatever it may be. He's talking to the ref, and even the commentators are coming back and saying, you don't want to say certain things like that because they might stop the fight. Henry does the veteran move. He takes all 5 minutes to rest. He was already tired. He ended up sitting down inside the octagon. He was gassed. He was tired. It is what it is. That's okay. But this is another reason why people love Henry Cejudo, man. He's a fighter, man. He might be that tired and he will show it to you, but he will still come out there and give his all and leave it in the octagon. Now, after the 5 minutes are left, you got about 1:16 seconds left in the third round. Song, of course, is devastated because if the fight would have been canceled, it would have been a no contest or they would have given Henry the win. So the simple fact that Henry came back in with 1:16 seconds left says a lot because he was even asking the ref, hey, how much time do I have left? I'm trying to see if this eye can recover. He goes through the minute 16. Song is on him, putting pressure on him. Henry is just running for his life because he cannot see these punches coming. And at the end of the third round, obviously Song wins the second round in this case. At the end of the third round, Henry goes to his to his chair, to his corner, and he's talking to his guys, and he's like, guys, I cannot see out of my left eye. And he said it very clearly. Even as he stood up and he starts talking to Jason Herzog, the ref, he's like, man, I cannot see very well out of my left eye. The doctors actually take another look at him, and they decide to end the fight right away and go to the judges' scorecards. Now, because more than half of the scheduled rounds were completed by rule, it goes to the judges' scorecards. Like I said, had it actually been terminated in the third round where the third round was not completed, it would have been ruled a no contest. So Song actually kind of got saved on this one just a little bit. But this is one of those fights where I bet the UFC will have zero problems rescheduling again. This was a fun fight to watch. Song got the win. He did what he had to do to get the win. But even for Song, he's like, hey, man, we got to have this rematch. This was definitely not enough. There's so much more that we could have done that we did not do. And I want a clear winner in a fight like this. And I agree with him, man. I agree. And even for Henry Cejudo, thank God he did not retire. And he said definitely this is something that they can run back. So hopefully we'll see this, man. Great fight night, man. Thank you, Dana and team, for putting this kind of fight night together, man. That was amazing. But also thank you guys very much for listening, man. Peace out, y'all. Thank you very much for your time today, guys. Definitely like and subscribe, and we will have much more coming for you. Have a good one.